that was able to attend the Sage Inspire Tour conference 2 weeks ago for being able to take time out of your busy day and attending that seminar. I enjoyed seeing all of you, and actually we were talking in the good old days before technology is what it is today. We used to actually have instead of Tech Tuesdays, we used to have user groups that met in the evening. And we all got together and talked. We had different subject matters. And some of the users and I were talking about it would be kind of nice to be able to do that again, because we had quite a few at the Inspire Tour that I got together, and they were able to share information about how they do things within their own system, and kind of help each other out. It's always nice. It's one thing to hear it from me that this is how it's supposed to work, but it's another thing to hear it from another user that is doing the function, and this is actually how it works in the real world. And hopefully the two are the same. So I'm contemplating that. I'm thinking about maybe once a quarter or maybe twice a year we'll put together a little users group, and we'll come up with a subject matter, and everybody get together, and we all kind of talk and visit and have a good time like we did at the conference. Once again, we are on, one thing, going back to the conference, for those of you that weren't there, we actually were awarded the kind of like a most valued partner. And actually, I consider all of you my partners in this, because without you, we wouldn't be where we are today. And with that, we received a free pass to Sage Summit. I am going to be putting out an email. If you are interested in going to Sage Summit, this is basically free registration. It will waive your registration fee. It does not include airfare, hotel, or any expenses. But I will put out an email and select, basically I'm going to, from the emails I get back, I'm going to put everybody's name in a hat, and if you're interested in going, it is in Las Vegas, and as we know, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And so if you're interested in going, once you get my email, send me an email back, and then I'll pick a date, and we'll pull a name out of the hat and let the lucky winner know. I definitely am going to be attending this year, and one of you, if you would like to attend, I've had other users in the past go to Sage Summit. If you'd like to attend, please feel free to put your name in the hat. So anyway, back to our subject matter today, AP stuff. This part of the subject matter was brought to my attention by one of the users at the conference, and said, hey, we know this feature's out there, we just don't know how to use it. We don't know exactly what it's used for. How do you do this? So I thought, well, let's talk about some AP stuff today. And one of the items that we're going to discuss is a distribution table. They added this feature to the system a few years ago, and most of us don't use it. Now, what is a distribution table? Well, it is a table that we can enter GL account numbers and associated percentages, or we can leave the percentages blank. So why would I use a distribution table? Well, let's say I have a situation where I have an invoice that I need to split amongst several divisions. And every time that invoice comes in from this particular vendor, I have to key in all those GL account codes. Now, this was ideal for a client of ours that had 18 stores, and he wanted to split up invoices amongst these 18 stores, but he got tired of keying in the GL account numbers. So let's kind of take a look and see what we have to do to set this up. Your very first thing is you go into Accounts Payable Setup and Accounts Payable Options. And once you get in here, we are going to click on the third tab, the Entry tab, and we're going to enable our Expense Distributions table. Now, you'll notice I have a check mark in here. There's also a feature here that says allow the total distribution to be less than 100%. So let's say if I'm going to create this table and I want to say, well, 10% goes to this division or this GL account number, and 25% goes to this GL account number, and another 10% goes to this GL account number. I can leave it like that so it doesn't end up being 100%. And then I can, put the final amount in when I put the invoice in. So that's what this feature is right here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and accept that once we have that turned on. And now we're going to go into the expense distribution table maintenance, also from the setup menu. And the first one I'm going to set up is going to be called rent. Now, keep in mind, this is an alphanumeric field, and I actually should probably do it this way so you can see how many characters that you can put in here. So it's up to 6 characters, and it's alphanumeric. But you want to make it something that maybe will jog your memory, that you'll go, oh yeah, that's for this. So I'm going to call this one rent, and I'm going to enter my GL account numbers that I want this to post to. Now notice I do not have to put dashes in when I put those GL account numbers in, okay? And I'm going to allot 10% to this GL account, and then we're going to do 10% to this one, and 25% here, and another 25% here. Now you'll notice down here at the bottom I'm at 70%. So this is where I'm not doing the full 100%. So here's one of the distribution tables I'm going to create. And then I'm going to create another one for insurance. Okay, but this one, I don't want to put percentages in. Maybe I want to allot the dollar amount when I receive the invoice in. So I don't necessarily, have to use the percentages. Okay? So I'm going to accept that. Now, how do I use this? Well, let's go to Accounts Payable Main, and I'm going to go to Vendor Maintenance. Now, one thing that where I will 100% fully admit that this is a bummer, okay? You can't assign it to the vendor. So if you go over here to where the GL account number is, there's no spot for the distribution table. That is one thing I wish we could change. And, hopefully if we talk to Sage about it, maybe one of these days they will add that, because I would really love the table to automatically pull when we put an invoice in. But like I said, we're about 70% there. We'll see if we can get Sage to go the rest of the way. But there is no place in the vendor itself to put that expense table. I just wanted to point that out to you. Okay? Now, when I go in to enter an invoice, I'm going to choose my vendor, and then I'm going to put in my invoice number. Okay? So I'll put in my dollar amount, and I'm going to come over to my distribution table right here, and keep in mind, if you do not have this turned on, you will not see this field. Okay? I'm going to choose my rent table. So when I go to my lines tab, voila, it automatically pulls those GL account numbers for me, applies my percentages. But since I did not make it 100%, you'll notice I have a distribution balance. So at this point, I can come in here, and I can choose the GL account that I want to post that to, and finish so that my distribution balance is 0. Makes it a little easy for me. It's actually pretty nice. Now, let's look at one that I didn't put any percentages in. So I've got an insurance policy here, and it's for $4,800. Oops. Ooh, yeah. That's one heck of a policy there. How about that? That's a better number. And I'm going to choose that insurance distribution table. I'm going to go to my lines tab. And notice I've got my GL account numbers, but I have no dollar amounts because it didn't put any percentages in. So here I can actually enter the amounts that I want posted to each GL account number so that, oops, sorry about that, guys, and handle this manually, so to speak. But at least, and I think I've actually already gone over my distribution. Let's make that $100 here. At least I have really gotten this thing mad at me. Hold on. Let's start over, guys. Pay attention to what I'm doing as I'm doing it. Okay. All right. So do this a little bit better, and I missed an account up here. I'm just really happy with my decimals today. There we go. There. That's much better. Okay, so I can distribute that manually, or I can use the percentages. And that's how the distribution table works. It may work for you, may not work for you. It's up to you if you want to use that. Where the feature lacks for me is I want to apply it to that vendor. I also want to point out, once again, for those of us that don't realize it, I think most of us do, but anything that you see underlined in a vendor is a hyperlink. So if I click on that, I go directly into vendor maintenance. Okay? Just wanted to point that out so I can come in and I can look at any information on that vendor while I'm entering invoices. Okay, so that's how that table works, or those tables work. So let's go on to another AP problem that some of us have. And what that is that sometimes we have positive invoices and negative invoices that just don't ever clear off our aging. And that drives us a little crazy because they will stay on there forever and ever. All right? So what am I talking about here? Well, what I'm talking about is I have a $250 positive invoice and a $250 credit memo that just won't go away. It's going to stay out there, and quite often some of us will have a zero balance out there forever. And I'm going to take a quick question here. There was a question that popped up, will this work in manual check entry? And the answer is yes, it will. Okay? So manual check entry, absolutely. You can apply the table at that point in time. Okay? It also worked in repetitive invoice entry. Okay, now back to our credit. So we got a positive and negative invoice. How do we get that off of there? They've been out there for 2 years and they won't go away, and I can't, I'm not going to get another invoice from these guys. How am I going to make this stuff go away? Well, it's actually pretty easy. And believe it or not, this feature's been built in since the DOS days. Well, a lot of us just don't know about it. You go into manual check and payment entry. Okay? Here in the payment field, we're going to put the reserved letters, APP, and then if it's the first time you're using this, you can do 001. Now, when I hit enter, it's going to tell you I've already used this check number. Is it a check reversal? I'm going to say no, because I don't want to, in this case, I don't want to use my APP 001 because I've already used it. So I can use APP 002. That is the next applied check number that I have not used. Now, keep in mind, I can do APP, up to 999, and I have had users that have gone up to 999 over the years. Okay, so you can't, and eventually what we do is we kind of delete some of the old history so we can start back with the APP 001 if we needed to. Okay. Now, once I put my reserved check number in here using my APP, it automatically makes my check amount 0. I can't get in this field. It's grayed out. So now I'm going to choose my vendor, Stevens Supply, and I'm going to go and I'm going to click on my Lines tab. Now in here, and see, for the question earlier, we could do a table. Not here, but it was. So now I'm going to choose my 2 invoices. Now because of my the discount due date, do I want to accept the discount? Well, no, I don't want to do discounts on these. I want to get these off of there. So be careful if you do have discounts set up for these vendors. So I said no. So it applied the positive invoice against the negative invoice, and I accept it, and it will write that invoice off. So I'm going to go ahead and print my manual check register here. And I am paperless, so it should come up on our screen. And here's my register. Here's my check number, my positive, negative. I'm going to update that. I'm also going to do my daily transaction register. File is empty. Why? Because it's posting a positive and negative against each other. It doesn't need to create a journal entry. So now let's go back in and look at Stevens again. And if I go and I look at the invoices, my invoice balance is now 0. And we can see that a payment was applied using my reserved word. So if I ever see an APP, I know, oh, this was posted against an invoice. So that's something to clue me in. Oh, okay. This was posted against an invoice, and I need to find the other invoice. So that's how that feature works. It's kind of neat. And like I said, a lot of us don't even know, or we're not even aware that it's out there, but it definitely is. So the other feature that I want to talk about, and most of us do know that it's out here, is quick print. Now, this is what happens in most of our worlds. You know, Johnny stands at the door and says, I need a check, I'm going to go pick up blah, blah, blah. And he may or may not hand you an invoice, but he needs the check right now. So what do? We go into invoice data entry, we enter the invoice, we post the register. Then we go under our check printing and electronic payment, we do invoice payment selection, and then we print the check, and then we update. Well, we don't have to do that full process like that. We can quick print a check because Johnny is like standing there over me. He's got his keys in his hands, and he wants to get out the door. So what am I going to do? I'm going to come into manual check entry, and I'm going to click the printer button, which is our quick print. So what you'll notice when I click this button, my check number becomes asterisk PRNT asterisk. So the system knows that it has to print a check at this point, okay? So we enter the check date, we enter the check amount, and we can enter the invoice, or excuse me, the vendor that this check is for. We can also, for those of us that don't know, there's also a not on file vendor. If I would have put in 01-NOF, it would have opened this field up, and I could have typed in a vendor name at that point. But we have, you know, our fleet of trucks, and we have it repaired, and I go to Anders Auto Repair all the time. So now I can click on my Lines tab. I can either select an invoice that's on file by clicking my Select Invoice button, or, and here's the fun part, I can create an invoice for this vendor right now. So put the invoice number in. Is this a new invoice? Why, yes, it is. So what this is going to do for me is this is going to create the invoice and pay the invoice at the same time. It's asking me, well, where do you want to expense this to? I can change this GL account number. It pulled that from the vendor master file where I have that set up. Or I can leave it to, or change it or distribute it amongst multiple GL account numbers, however I want to do that. Okay? Once I click on Accept, it goes into a check printing screen. I check my check number to make sure it's correct. I slide my check into the printer, and I print my check. It tells me this is my last check number. Click OK. If I need to reprint the check, I can reprint it. Otherwise, I hit OK, and it's ready to do the next check. Now, keep in mind, when I do this, I can also, I'm going to do that 01-NOF just so you can see how it says not on file vendor. Let's do FTD because we're ordering flowers and we need to pay for it. The guy's standing up. No, nobody would send flowers COD. That would be kind of awful. But hey, you know, you never know. I can also go against a GL account number rather than creating an invoice. So if I don't want an invoice out there, I can come in here and I can post it against, you know, a GL account. Let's just do postage and freight, and away we go. And once again, accept that and print my check. So now I've printed the checks very quickly. You know how quick that was, rather than doing the multiple process to get the invoice in and then quick print a check. And now I can go ahead and print my check register. Once again, it's paperless, so it's going to come to our screen so you can see it. And here are my checks. Now, the one thing I do want to point out to you, though, is when I do look at my checks on my Checks tab, I can tell that this was a manual check. So that's, for us, it's a quick print. And this was based on our check printing. So this one here came out of this menu over here, and this one came out of our manual check menu. They both will process just like normal. They'll go over to the bank rec like normal, but it just, you know, is a way to know, oh, did I quick print that? How did it get there, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, just wanted to kind of throw that out there. So that's some of our AP stuff. So now are we all ready for the bonus round? Because I've got something exciting for the bonus round today. For those of you that were at the conference, let's see. Now gotta say, here we go. Those of you that were at the conference, Sage talked about listening to you to a certain extent. This page that I'm going to show you has been out there for a long time. Some of you I've shared it with in the past. Some of you call me and say, golly jeepers, you know, I'd really, really like the software to do this. And I say, hey, you know, go out to this website and, you know, vote for it. Put it in and vote for it. Now, what am I talking about? I'm in version 5.0 here, and I'm going to click on the feedback site. And basically, what this is, it is a site that you can create your own sign-up. You log in, and you can vote. Now, let's see. It's been a while since I've been in here. Let's see if I can. A lot of times I just come out and look, but let's see if I remember my login. Oh, I do. There we go. So look, there's 1,659 ideas. There's a bunch of comments, and there's a bunch of votes. This is where you tell them what your idea is. Now, what I tell you to do is, before you tell them what your idea is, kind of read through them, because a lot of times there's a lot of other people who had the same idea that you did. Okay, like this one, delete, renumber, merge capabilities for salespeople. Oh my land, I get this one all the time. Now, there are certain things that you can do with merging salespeople stuff, but there's other things that you can't. And that's the other really great thing about this too, is now these all have 0 comments, but sometimes they'll have comments because somebody will put the idea out there, but it's not that the feature's not there, it's that they're unaware. And somebody will comment back and say, hey, if you do this, you know, you will be able to achieve your goal. These are the hot topics. 0 quantity tiers. You know, this one's talking about zero quantity inventory tiers no longer removed during month-end processing. Allow multiple deposits and deposit types in sales orders or invoice. You know, create a single invoice for multiple sales orders. I got to tell you, that's been out there for years. Hopefully someday we'll see it. Deactivating warehouses. Oh my gosh, I would love to be able to deactivate warehouses and you know, make old warehouses go away. It's darn near impossible to make old warehouses go away. Here's one I voted for: paperless office email log. Yes, we can go in paperless office, and yes, we can see that it was emailed. But boy, I would sure love to have it like Outlook, where we could see if somebody actually opened it. So there's different things in here. These are the top ones that people vote for. You know, I voted for this. I voted for this. Increasing font sizes? Okay, yes. All right. I'm going to point this one out for those of you that call me all the time and say, Sue, the font size is too small. And I say, yes, I agree 100%. I have voted for it. But hopefully, you know, they'll listen to us one day. I did have one of the programmers tell me, well, you just need to get, you know, cheaters. Dude, really? Okay, so these are things I voted for. These are things that are planned in the system. Ability to do PO history inquiry, just like we do in sales order. Yay. Would love to have that. You know, different things. But this is, you know, go through here. Look at this stuff. This is stuff they have completed, that they did put in the system. So sometimes it helps to go through here and look at that and say, oh, wow, that's nice. Wow, look, that worked. Okay, fantastic. I didn't know that they did that. So this also helps you to know what features are there that maybe you didn't, which is kind of part of the reason why we're doing the Tech Tuesdays too. So anyway, I wanted you to know that this was out here. This is the website address here. If you're not on version 5, I did not check in 4.5 to see if it was in that resources area or not, or the information. I don't think there is an information center on 4.5, but I'll have to check. I don't think most of you are less than 4.4. So anyway, if you need the website address, I'll probably just add it to the material so you have it that I send you. But that was the bonus round today, and to me that's a fun bonus round because they do read that, guys. They really do read that. So look and see what other people have voted for. Look and see what other people have put out there. Create your own sign-in. Vote for some of the stuff out there because it does get into the system. That is one of the excellent ways of telling Sage, this is what we want. So you've got a voice, and they're tired of hearing mine, I'm sure. So please do that. Anyway, that's all I have for Tech Tuesday today. If you have any ideas of what you would like to do for the next Tech Tuesday, please shoot me an email because sometimes my ideas are drying up. I do have one more question here, though. Before doing the APP 001 to clear out all invoices and credit memos, is there a report to print to see what vendors are out there and what the stuff is hanging? Pretty much what you're going to use for that is your aging report. That's where most people notice it. They'll look on the aging and they'll see the pluses and the minuses. And sometimes it may just be that, well, I guess this doesn't matter. That's more AR than AP. You know, you may just want to, you know, push it against an invoice, but if you're going to do check printing, you're going to, if they don't match is what I'm thinking, like if you got a $100 invoice and a $50 credit, but you're going to pull both of those on an invoice. But if they match total, you know, like the 250, 250, definitely use the aging report to identify those invoices out there. So if there's no more questions, I believe I'm done. And like I said, shoot me some emails with some ideas, and be more than happy to talk about it. And I hope that you learned something new today with the AP stuff. And if I can think of anything and more stuff that we have on AP, I'll do another one on that. But let me know. Have a great day, and we will talk to you all soon. See you later. Bye.